Okay, so if you do want to look at the Oracle site, which I would highly recommend, but I know that especially this early in the game, it can be a little bit overwhelming. If you just type into your URL Java API and then the name of the class you want to look at. So right now we're looking at that JOptionPane class because we are curious about how to make those message dialog boxes appear. So when you do a search for that, it'll be the first thing that pops up, and you can actually take a look. Oracle does a beautiful job documenting all of their classes. So you see here under the method names, they show 4 methods. We've used 2 of these. We've used show input dialog and show message dialog, and actually I'll bring that program up that we just wrote recently. With the exception of this stuff. And you'll see that we used JOptionPane class, show input dialog. We've also used the show message dialog. There's a couple others, and maybe we'll use those, and we'll certainly be talking about them as time goes on, but let's just focus on those for now. So when we ran our program, we saw a nice message dialog box appear, and it said input in this message bar up here, asked for our name. There was a little icon of a Java cup. We could type input in. The input we typed in was stored in a variable. So this is the program we wrote last. Then we got this message dialog box, and you see up in that message bar, you see the word message. Again, you see this little coffee cup icon, and we printed a message out. Well, what we'd like to do now is jazz it up a little bit, make it more our own. I mean, I want my own icon in there. I want my own title. I mean, message is a really boring title. So when I'm looking at that site, the Java API, I notice that there's a whole bunch of definitions for things that I can put in as parameters. So that's important information. There's different types of messages that I can use, like an error message, an information message, warning message, so on. So you can take a look at that. And then my favorite part of this site, weird that I have a favorite part, but I do, is the method summary. These are all of the different methods that you can use. So like we've been using down here, show input dialog. We use this one, show input dialog. It returned a string. That string that it returned was whatever string they typed into the keyboard. So if they typed in the name Lori, it returned Lori. It's a string. It took a message as a parameter list. So the message was, quote, what is your name? We also use this simple show message dialog. That one took 2 parameters, remember. One of the parameters was null, because we just wanted to use the default frame type. And then the message. Hello, name. I also like hobbying or whatever. So let's just take a look at that quick. Here's my message dialog. We have null as one parameter, and then we have this home message as the other. But I notice right underneath that, there's this other show message dialog, 2 show message dialogs. But this second one takes 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters. So let's try to put in our own title, and let's try to use one of those message types we saw above. I remember seeing error message, so that's one we're going to use. So I already have the first 2. I have null and I have the message. But now I'm going to put in a different title. Instead of that title, I'm going to say Lori's Amazing Dialog Box. And then I'm going to put in the JOptionPane warning message. And the only reason I'm using warning message is because that was the first one on the list, and that's what I remember. So you can play around with the other ones. Now when I run this program, The message that pops up is the same. It's got that coffee cup. I say, oops, I say, Lori, I like to talk. But now notice it says Lori's amazing dialog box up there. And there's not just a Java cup. There's this exclamation mark. So now it's a little bit different. And I could do that by just adding those two parameters. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add your own icon. So stay tuned for that. But until then, play around with some of those other message types that you see up here and see what happens.